asking, I actually know quite well the system in the United States, and I would say that Metsähallitus is kind of like a combination of the National Park Service and Forest Service. So we have both the National Heritage Services and then this commercial use of forests under the same organizations. But I work for Metsähallitus National Heritage Services, which takes care of the national parks and other protected areas.
And is it sometimes difficult to have those two interests under one roof, sort of?
Well, I guess in the past there might be a little bit more conflict, but nowadays we kind of like live happily together, and there are definitely benefits also in that cooperation when it comes to the information systems or GIS systems or things like that. And also I work personally, when I'm not working with volunteers, I work with cultural heritage, and it is really, really good to take a look at the Metsähallitus in whole when it comes to the culture that has its basis in use of forests and nature.
Okay, volunteer projects, go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, hello everyone. Like I said, my name is Minttu Pertula, and I'm from Metsähallitus, Finland. I work for Natural Heritage Services, and I'm really honored to be here. And Gary was saying that he has been talking about the subject for a long time, and this is my first time speaking of mine. And that makes me a little bit nervous, but I'm sure that you help me out if I joke or forget some words. And I thank Palm Parks Foundation for this opportunity to speak here and learn. And I also have to say that I have this great personal interest in the way that national parks and protected areas are managed in Northern America and especially in USA. So it has been really great to hear all these presentations and learn from them. And I did my master's years back of the common history of Metsähallitus and National Park Service, but that was history, and there is still so much to learn when it comes, especially when it comes to volunteer work. And I have this a little bit maybe provocative topic. Labor of love, should volunteer work be labor of love or just hard labor? And I don't really have answers myself, but maybe this presentation will be fuel for debate, and we can talk a little bit more about that later on. At least I would be most interested to learn from you. And what I'm going to talk today, first, I will talk a little bit about the best practices. I will give you a few successful cases that we do nowadays. And later on in my presentation, I will touch upon the development process that I'm involved in. So I'm kind of like talking about present and future of the volunteer work in Metsähallitus. And volunteer work today, we have quite a lot of volunteer work already done in our areas, more than 2,000 man-days per year. I think it's more like 3,000 man-days per year. And over 50 Metsähallitus full-time staff members are involved as coordinators, planners, and managers. And that work is done pretty much all over the protected area network, and that is in Finland managed by Metsähallitus. And I have to say that many of our full-time staff members, they have tight and personal contacts with the volunteers, and as I see it, that is key to the present success. Okay, so this is the first successful case that I will present to you, and that is monitoring of the certain species populations. And first, I will talk about the Saimaa ringed seal population, and then about the birds. And And Metsähallitus is set for certain goals, and we have to monitor certain species, and volunteers, they bring considerable resource savings to those tasks. And when we talk about monitoring the Saimaa seal, we are talking about monitoring the maybe the most endangered seal species in the whole world. And volunteers, they focus on monitoring the population and the breeding grounds. And we are providing training and equipment and insurance cover and permits for them. And the people who are doing this work, they are the citizens of the Saimaa area where the green seal lives, or they are summer residents there, or people who are really into nature and like nature activists. And one thing that volunteers are doing, they are collecting this data of the dead seal. And when we are talking about population of 2050 animals, then the information about every dead seal is crucial, and we definitely need to know about that. And the other thing in volunteer work, when it's done with the Saimaa ring seal, is that people's awareness of the vulnerability of the Saimaa ring seal grows when they work with them. And that is especially important with the fishermen, whose nets might be dead traps for the young seals. And there is a dead one, unfortunately. Sorry about the picture. And there is some GPS surveillance done, and that is like a nest of the Saimaa seal. Okay, and then about monitoring bald eagle, Verpin, and Falcon. Those are the birds that Metsähallitus is monitoring, and the bird watchers, they are playing an important part in monitoring nests, bringing young birds, and reporting their findings. And they also search for the new nests and report those. And Metsähallitus, we have a bridging agreement with the volunteers, and most of them have ringing permits. So even though they are volunteers, they are almost like professionals when it comes to watching birds and handling them. And again, we are offering them maybe some training and equipment and insurance cover and all that, but that's about it. We don't pay any salary or anything like that. We are definitely talking about the volunteer work. And the resource is quite great. The bird watchers, they do more than 300 man-days per year with the birds. Okay, and this is the other case that I am presenting you, and it's our volunteer camps. And those camps are the most traditional form of volunteer work that is done in Metsähallitus, and they date back all the way 30 years. And they are executed with a WWF, and that cooperation is definitely the key to success with that concept. And we have estimated 20 camps yearly, and there is maybe 20 to 30 people in each camp. And I think I really like this picture because it shows that we actually feed our volunteers, which is definitely nice, but it actually shows the variety of people who are involved. There is this young kid and elderly senior citizens there, so actually that kind of tells you that pretty much everyone can attend our camps. It's not only for those who can use certain tools or who are fit for hard labor or anything like that. And the one thing why I pick this camp model as one of the best practices is that it actually combines many good things. Everyone pretty much wins there. People, there is like this really strong aspect of the nature's healthy influence, and also nature wins. It's good for the nature protection, and Metsähallitus as an area manager, we also, because volunteers are a big help. And what they do there, they cut hay, they clear bushes, they burn wood, they do all kinds of traditional landscape managing tasks. And even though that concept is running really smoothly with WWF, we definitely need more openings. And one thing is that I want to mention here is that we talk about volunteer camps, but lately we have started to use this term, conservation holiday. And I think it's quite an accurate one, because when you're on the camp, you're actually kind of like away from your everyday environment, which is actually one like really liberating thing, and that is something that you actually search when you go to holiday, you travel somewhere. So there is like this really strong aspect of holiday there. People are really enjoying themselves there. They come year after year, the same people are attending, so that is a good sign that they are working, the camps are fun. And this picture is from Inari, from Vilpajärvi church area, and that is kind of like an international group there. There was like this international summer school in Inari, and they came to work for us for a few days. And even though, like I said, that these camps are running really smoothly and they are like the most traditional way for us to do this volunteer work, but still there is like this really strong need for renewals and new openings. And for example, one big question are the senior citizens. Should we maybe have camps especially for them? Probably, because they are like a growing group of people who have also free time and willingness and ability to work for us. But then the other question is the international tourists. And there has been talk about having these international camps where, tourists can attend, and that is a good idea, but then we really have to also take under consideration that are we actually, is that away from the livelihood of the private nature tourism companies? And the fact is that the volunteer work, it can be of our own full-time members, the staff's work, and it can't actually harm the private sector either. And luckily, we already have like really good example of the cooperation between private sector and Metsähallitus, and this next case is all about that. And it's a base camp. And so there is one good example already where private sector and governmental sector are working together. And base camp and Metsähallitus started their cooperation in 2009. Isn't that right? Yeah. Okay. And they had a common project then, and there is this meadow in Oulanga, and that is taken care of as a part of base camp's nature tourism experience that they are offering to their guests, and that they have some really nice experiences of that, I think. And when I was talking quite long with Mr. Keijo Ronkainen, the owner of the base camp, about the concept, and it was really interesting. And one thing what he was saying to me was that Minttu is all about the journey and not so much about the end. So the means are more important than the end. Remember that having fun and learning new skills and trying something new and challenging oneself and making social contacts, that's far more important, at least sometimes it is, than how many branches you cut or how much hay you cut or whatever is the actual result of the work. And the other thing what Keijo Ronkainen was saying is about the international competition over the volunteers. That is something that in Metsähallitus we might not have realized yet, but for private companies it's probably already a crucial fact that there is this international competition going on over volunteers. And that is maybe something that we should talk here a little bit more about, so I would know more about it when I leave here. Okay, so now I already gave you these good examples how we have done volunteer work for past 30 years or so, but there are challenges, and that's why we have this development process going on. So regardless of our long history of effective and profitable volunteer work, there is need for development and innovation. And the role of Metsähallitus is locally strong. Like I mentioned before, our own staff, they have like these really tight personal contacts with the volunteers. And for example, in Oulanka, Matti Hovi and Keijo, they are working tightly together, and things are running really nicely. But we definitely lack in coordination when it comes national-wide. So we need more national coordination. That's like one point. And we also need to gain better understanding why volunteers want to work for us. What are their motives and what are their passions and what do they really want to achieve while attending volunteer work. And of course, even though we have this nice cooperation with WWF, still we need to strengthen up our partnership with volunteer organizations. And the other thing is that, like I said before, that okay, we have 2,000 or 3,000 mandates per year, and that tells you something that we are not exactly sure what is the ongoing situation of the volunteer work. We need better understanding of what we do, and that is kind of like the base of development, I think. So we need more informative statistics on the outputs of the volunteer work. We kind of need like a toolbox to use to measure the volunteer work and time spent there and how much are we gaining and all that. So that is definitely one thing. And one really important thing is encouraging our own park staff to participate in development process. And the key to that is to emphasize that volunteers will not replace the full-time staff. And this development project started this spring, so it has been going on like a few months now. And the background is that there is a European Year of Volunteering going on at the moment, and that of course gives us like a nice context when it comes to media, for example. And it actually emphasized also that even though to us volunteer work might be important because of the maintenance of the wilderness areas, the role is far larger than that, far wider than that. Volunteering plays an important role in many different sectors, such as education, culture, sports, environment, and so on. And we have noticed that many countries are far ahead of us, so we are learning from their experiences. And what our project is expected to do, well, you can check this one because this is, I think, quite a nice picture here. And what we should create is like this national strategic platform for volunteering. And we need to encourage people and inspire people, and we need to give them tools how to work with the volunteers, and there's lots of things going on. And the most fundamental factor is the role of coordinating, so I think we should emphasize on that. And when we have done some benchmarking, international benchmarking, we have noticed that the role of coordinator is one of the key factors. And what we have done so far, there are the starting points. And one idea is to create this win-win situation by combining the interests of the volunteers with the interests of the and kind of like obvious. But it's not actually that simple and obvious when we start planning, because it often goes that we are starting to say that we need people to do that, and there is some need for extra labor there, and we start the discussion in this way. And the first thing what we should ask is that what do you want to do? What is what you want to do for us? And that should be the starting point. I don't know, maybe it's obvious to you, but it wasn't to us at first. And so we focus on motivation, interests, abilities, and time resources of the workers. And the other crucial question and starting point is the definition of the division of the labor. Who should be the operator and who should organize the volunteer work? And the thing is that we can't, Metsähallitus can't increase our expenses, so we need to partner up with the organization and with the private companies and private sector. And one quite fun thing what we had is that we had this Labor of Love campaign in spring, and we called for new and fresh ideas of the volunteer work. And I have to say, I came up with the name Labor of Love, and it wasn't actually something that all people in our organization loved. So when it went through, and the result was really nice. It was like really short period that people, it was too short time that the ideas could be sent. It was only 3 weeks, but we got 50 good ideas, and I think that's quite nice. And what we noticed is that people are bursting with fantastic new volunteer ideas, but that, of course, sets huge expectations on coordination. And what did we got? We think that the main thing is that we start from the best practices that we already have, but we need new openings, and senior citizens are definitely one group that we need to take a closer look at. And there is a researcher emeritus Esteri Kohenoja, who is still in her 70s identifying species for Metsähallitus almost daily. So she's one of our volunteers already. And senior citizens can profit from the volunteer work. They can, there are these health effects, nature's health effects that are definitely profit for them, and we profit from the lifelong experience of the seniors. And the other forms that we got is, for example, this fall we test this new conservation holiday in Archipelago National Park. And we also use Facebook in a new way, and there is this Adopt a Monument form that we are trying. The local communities, they adopt our ancient sites, they take care of them, but at the same time they build their own togetherness, and it's really nice for the local culture. And this fall we also have these innovative workshops for our partners and other volunteer organizations. And if there is time, I can tell you definitely more about those new ideas that we have. No. Viola, can you maybe help me? I have this little promo clip of the base camp that I want to show you. If it works out. Where should I?
Kaikki meloo!
Okay, I'm missing one slide here, but it doesn't matter. I was supposed to talk about a little bit about motives of the people, of the volunteers. And thank you, Gail, for letting me use this promo clip. And I don't know if the lucky ones who are rafting there, if they are volunteers or not, but the reason why I wanted to show this is that it actually so well shows you the fun and excitement that we should have when we plan and develop and do volunteer work. And I don't know what are the motives of the volunteers. I don't have the right answer yet, but I definitely doubt that misery is one of them. And don't get me wrong, you know, in Finland we love hard physical labor, at least if it's followed by sauna, so it doesn't have to be easy to be fun, but still, you know, there's something about that we need to always remember when we are developing the volunteers' work. The volunteers, they should have fun, and it should be fun for our own staff as well. And the slide that I was planning to show you, there was this certain motives that people were saying when they were asked why they attend to volunteer work, and they were saying that it's love for nature, or they want more social contacts and all that. So it's kind of like they are searching for good time, and they are searching for meaning to their life, and that is something that we definitely have to take under consideration. And there wasn't anything like, you know, I want to profit, you know, and do something profitable. That wasn't the list at all. It was more like, you know, I want to have fun, and at the same time I do something good for nature and good for wilderness. So there was always that aspect involved. And then I say a few words about competing on volunteers, because that was something interesting that I talked with Gail with, and that has something to do with the brand management. And I don't know the Pun Parks organization that well. I'm sorry about that. And after this seminar, I'm wiser and I'm really interested. This is great. But I think that your brand is really well built. And U.S. National Park Service, it's definitely brands that people want to associate themselves with. And we have been forced to ask if Metsähallitus is such a brand that that people want to associate themselves with. And we don't know that yet, if there are some doubts. But I'm sure that Pun Parks is and it is, especially if you decide to go wild. And I'm talking about fun and labor of love, and Alan and Gary, they were talking about connecting people to the wilderness, and how people if they learn to love wilderness, they start fighting for it. And this is kind of the theme of this seminar, I feel. And I'm ready to say that at its best, cooperation and volunteer work, it becomes far more better than just working together. It becomes something much deeper. There is friendship there, and there is respect there. And when we achieve that, I think that our success is guaranteed. Thank you so much.